IT people of Reddit, what's something you found on someone's computer that made you say WTF? I also once had a guy come to me to fix his tablet. He was a larger guy, in his 30s, with a bare-threaded cat t-shirt. He reeked of both cat and human piss. "I have something wrong with my photo folder," he said, and whipped the tablet towards me. He began slowly scrolling through each photo, with a subdued smile slowly spreading across his face. Each photo was of him, completely nude. Some were close-ups of his genitals. "Does this make you feel funny?" he said. "I've seen a lot of it, working in IT, so no, but there's nothing wrong with your folder. Have a good day," I said, and with that I walked off. To be honest though, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. I still sort of wonder if I should have reported him for it. Seems like the digital version of flashing. Edit, misspelled word. A co-worker of mine had his desktop wallpaper set to a selfie of him bawling his eyes out. I was so ducking confused. When I asked him about it, he said everyone has pictures of themselves smiling. Why don't we have other emotions in selfies? To which I responded, because of that, while pointing at his monitor. Started typing on their computer and it turns out they were using Dvorak instead of QWERTY. Edit, thank you Gilda. I was working on some stuff for the local parish church years ago and the latest search on the priest's computer was consensual adult spanking. You know, I didn't care if he was into spanking but I had to lol that he went to the trouble of finding adults who consented. Forget porn. This was someone who had the same computer for years and never understood folders. Everything on the desktop. This Indian guy had just left our company. He was extremely conservative. No bullet, no joking around kinda guy. Small, glasses, and always dressed in button-ups and khakis. He was pretty high up too, just below director level. Anyway, he left to start his own company and turned his laptop in. You'd think someone working at a technology company would know to use incognito for any naughty stuff they looked at on their work computer, or at least clear browser history. Nope. Every second this guy wasn't looking at email or PowerPoints. Big black butts. Constantly browsing for big black butts during work. And that's like all he'd do after work. I don't mean he'd go home and look at big black butts for 20 minutes and jerk off. Every day 6+ hours of looking at big black butts when he got home. For me I always have though porn is a normal thing. But downloading 50 toolbars till you can barely see your screen or 20 different versions of the same magic game makes me go WTF for sure. Was trying to locate something on a mate's laptop looking through his school folders and found a video of a 12-year-old staring at a camera and crying for 10 minutes. He was the weird kinda memey guy and he got so worried when I opened it up he showed me that his brother was helping him make it for a project. It was featured project at school so I guess it's not that bad but I thought he had some kiddie porn or whatever. Used to work for a place that did IT stuff for schools. Mainly parochial schools. One of the guys that had to have viruses removed more often than anybody else was a priest teacher that taught 3rd grade-ish. Every virus came from porn sites. And he'd pretty regularly download literal gigabytes of porn every week. And this was about 6 years ago. So that is a lot more video than what it would be today, due to video quality increases over time. We were out to clean up his computer about once a week. And the school church was getting charged every time. Main reason that we figured out it was from porn was because the school church asked us to look into why he was getting viruses so often. We normally don't look into what they're actually doing unless we're asked to. Browser history was all we ended up needing. One of my friends in high school asked me to look at his computer. He said it was being slow and weird. I'm looking around and see a folder that says private. I look in it and it's mainly like tax returns and other like official stuff. Then there's another that says super private. I open it up and it has 4 clips and a picture in it. The first clip was a compilation of Kim Possible grunting. It was like 5 minutes long. Second clip is all 3 of Secretariat's Triple Crown races. Third clip is a 1-2-hour hardcore gangbang porno. Fourth clip is a little children's choir, which I learned was his little cousin, singing Christmas song. And the picture was a crime scene photo of Nicole Brown Simpson. I asked him about it and he said it was his special folder. I had never been more confused in my entire life. I found a folder on a friend's computer with autopsies and gruesome experiments. She seemed nice and cute. Turns out she had some weird fetishes. But at least we became closer at that point because I was the only one that knew. This isn't quite what you meant, but we had a guy in accounting who had his disk drive permanently open. He would use it to hold his coffee cup or bagels, and always referred to it as the cup holder. Not technically it guy, but copier technician. Not found on computer, but in a copier. Customer called up itching about how your stupid copier always jams and doesn't work and it's all your fault blah blah. The copier hadn't had a single service call place in over 13 months. Mind you, I get on site into the copier. Customer contact is standing over my shoulder, huffing and puffing. Just being an insufferable itch in general. I get the jam to occur and discover that a massive monster of a booger has dried up in the paper path. It was solid enough to prevent paper from passing through. I enjoyed getting to tell her why her copier was jamming. I already posted another about a guard at a middle school, but I suppose I'll post another good one. A female teacher at a middle school got caught up in a bit of a mess by using her personal iCloud account on a school-issued iPad. You can probably see where this is going. She took a series of nude selfies on her personal iPhone, and they got automatically uploaded to her school iPad. Well, one day, the principal of the school grabbed her iPad in a conference room to use it for something, and found the pictures. The creepy part of this story is that the principal called me to his office and asked me to retrieve the evidence from the iPad and store it to a thumb drive, and deliver it to him. I didn't feel this was appropriate at all, so I'll let my boss know. He felt the same way and decided to handle the situation. The principal was a 60-something married man. My boss was a middle-aged openly gay man, and in general just a really nice guy. He realized that it was just a mistake on the teacher's part and helped her to C degree. The teacher ended up leaving on her own, and the principal apparently wrote her a glowing letter of recommendation. I guess the info about the principal wanting personal copies of the teacher's nude pictures got out somehow. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Back in the days of AOL chat rooms, I was talking to this girl. Met her a few times. Went to her party and that was about it. She was really pretty, but I can tell she wasn't into me. Fast forward like 10 years. I'm fixing a computer for this dentist at his office. I'm backing up some stuff, including his pictures folder. I was quite surprised to see the pic of that girl that she sent me 10 years earlier. I guess Doc was an AOL player back in the day too. It's threads like these that make me feel less disgusted about my porn. Call customer. Remote into PC. Open Windows Explorer and C drive titled horse porn. I don't know if he knew I saw it. He at least didn't react. We agreed to reschedule though. Why a whole drive though? 600 gigabytes of porn on an 80-year-old man's laptop accompanied by over 3,000 viruses. I work at a college IT department. I didn't see it, but my co-worker did. An old guy shows up asking to help send a picture of his ID to his email. I see my co-worker start working with him, then immediately set the phone down and walk off as the old guy hastily grab his phone and stand around awkwardly not talking or answering any questions when I ask him if everything is alright. Co-worker messages me from his phone saying tell him when the old guy leaves. Old guy stands around for 5 minutes and then leaves. Apparently, my co-worker accidentally swiped to the next photo and it was this old dude's wrinkly hairy D wrapped up in multiple purple rubber bands. He's coming back from a year abroad this next week and his workstation is going to be covered with purple rubber bands. I just walked in a room on somebody and saw them using Yahoo. They quickly shut down their computer and starting skimming TV channels. Not IT, but had an old boss and I am still technically a millennial. Big titty lactate white women and permutations thereof all over his search history. Folders of videos I did not open. After that I stopped touching other people's computers, even when they asked. A stash of cake farting porn. I didn't think it was real. I was wrong. So very wrong. I work IT. One time a few jobs back my manager, IT head, was the absolute worst for getting malware. His machine had to be scrubbed every quarter. We had a conversation one time about how he was impressed by all of the music and movies he could for pennies from a website. Website turns out to be Russian based. A few days after our conversation, the site is replaced with an FBI warning page saying the site was criminal. Years ago, I used to do long software installs at my company. For the particularly long installs, I would just RDC into their machines so they wouldn't start trying to work or anything. During a 45-minute install, I'd get bored and look around. The first time I found a porn folder on a work machine, I was dumbfounded. Why on a machine that your company owns? Keep it at home. Full stop. On one install, I noticed there was a USB plugged in and found that was completely full of porn. That at least made a bit more sense. But I still wouldn't bring that to the office. Aside from porn, the biggest WTF is IE6. I'm my friend's go-to guy for PC stuff and we've been hanging out for years, so I don't mind doing freebie things for her. One day she's at my place looking to upgrade the GPU and install a secondary drive, which is pretty simple. After I do my thing, I boot her PC up and I see on the recent folders list there's nudes, so as I joke I look at her and say, "You have nudes," and click it. There I am looking at a folder with heaps of people I know, our mutual friends and some of me just nudes. We have a long talk because it was obvious all that was fake since I never show her my naked butt, and I found out a big secret, which is she has a side hobby of making fake nudes of us. My only concern was she was uploading them somewhere, but she promises she has never. This guy came up to me saying his computer kept shutting down. After taking a look at it, I noticed the entire back of the case was just covered in candle wax. And not like regular wax. It was like gooey, lotionoid candle wax. Dude liked to light candles and set them on top of his case. That thing was rich and a half to clean. Email history to Craigslist hookers using company email account. This is an open email system where everyone at the company can see anyone's emails. He was answering Craigslist hooker ads at 2 AM. Married guy. Well educated too. I'm not even in IT, but he heads the department. I really looked up to this guy at one point too. Had a co-worker bring in her husband's computer because it was shutting off all the time. There was huge amounts of weed in all the air vents. He would roll his joints and watch porn at his desk. He had been doing it for years. I think the street value of that compact was probably enough to pay for a new computer. I found a bunch of flat earth and horoscope stuff on one of the computers in our HR department. Belonged to a fairly normal, well-educated person. Not quite found, but people who are not too comfortable with computers often take hacking or virus and write off all bugs, crashes, unexpected behavior, you name it, to being the result of them being hacked or them having a virus. Not just computers, on phones and smartphones and the likes as well. One of my guys was remotely working on a PC. He left the remote connection active for a few minutes while he was researching something. Sure enough, some dude logs in and starts looking in his pictures directory, and there were tons and tons of pictures of women feet. We're not prudes or anything, but the computer we were working on is a 24/7-man station that requires people to monitor surveillance cameras, buzz people in, etc. When he got fired, he said, "My job gets boring." The funny part was he tried to file for unemployment and HR asked me for help to build the case. So I had to copy all the feet pictures onto a flash drive for them. Alright, this is a very innocent one, but it still makes me wonder what the duck was wrong with this woman who was literally here for a presentation to teach Chromebook skills. She wasn't the first presenter, so this wasn't stage fright. She was just sitting in the audience when this happened. 50-year-old computer savvy user on a Chromebook starts complaining loudly that her enter key is not working. Naturally, every other person with an ounce of technical savvy is ignoring her, because she was part of the group that came today to teach them 30-50 how to use the Chromebooks they are all on, including the IT guy from her program, who she brought, who works with her, and definitely knew what was up. I mean, she says the key is broken, so it must be, right? She's one of the experts here, and it's not her IT guy's job to repair our devices, right? So I walk up, ask her to demonstrate the problem. She starts typing in the search bar without ever looking at the keyboard and then finishes and says, "Look, it didn't search." No duh. That's what happens when you press shift instead of enter. A customer of the place where I had an internship had a virus on his PC. The virus deleted everything that got installed after it. It was named not a virus. A coworker once saw bestiality in a recent pages tab on a computer he was fixing for someone. Working in IT can be NSFL. Don't work in IT, but at our work we get a monthly naughty list. Everyone who has software they aren't allowed on their work laptops or PCs were on this list. Not quite WTF, but a few people had Minecraft and World of War installed on their computers. I inherited a PC, so I was on that list, but for Adobe. Apparently I was using the wrong version. Cell phone tech here, and I got 3 stories for y'all. One time an older lady came on freaking out. Turns out she tried to send a picture of her V to a guy in Messenger and accidentally posted it on her Facebook timeline instead. One of the sales reps at the store I work at described it as looking like somebody dropped Arby's into dusty cobwebs. The fiancé registered sign of a woman I graduated college with came in with nudes of someone that definitely wasn't her. Recently, I was helping a guy restore his device from his iCloud backup, and I was showing him where pictures were coming through and loading from the cloud when a picture of his girlfriend's ass pops up while we're both looking at his phone, and she's sitting there just far enough off to the side that she can't see the screen. I exit out of his photos and he starts laughing while his girlfriend is completely oblivious. I don't want to assume too much, but the guy seems like the type to tell her once he got home just to embarrass her. It's usually porn. Once in a while illegal porn. There was a guy that got let go and the cops called because of it. Do the math on what kind. We immediately bag and tag the PC for forensics. While fixing up my dad's landlord boss's computer, we discovered numerous white power pamphlets and PowerPoints. Turns out, she was nuts. Got a trouble ticket for a workstation that keep rebooting. Go check it and find the workstation in a locker, like a gym locker. Kinda odd, but a good use of space. Go to open the locker and the guy says, "Careful, that locker shocks you sometimes." I laugh. Open locker, see sparks fly from the hinges and notice the power cord is pulled through there and is completely frayed with exposed copper. I laugh more. Flip the breaker and take the computer. The computer was fine. Just the cord was jacked. But he didn't get the computer back for a few weeks because we were still fixing it. When I was 12, I was setting up my married grandpa's new printer and found a folder with 200 GB plus of porn right on his desktop. One video in its own folder was called Golf Ball Washer, and I watched it, not expecting porn, and saw a girl putting golf balls in her ass that had my grandpa's name written on them. Once I found a video in my current boyfriend's recent internet history. It wasn't any old porn, but of a small Asian woman in a what looked like a giant plastic Ziploc bag having the air sucked out of it. I didn't go any further but haven't seen anything similar since, so hope it was once of those "what the hell is that?" I'm totally going to watch it finds on his part rather than something he's actually into. I was migrating data on a work computer and it was taking way longer than it should. I noticed a folder called delete on the desktop, so I of course opened it. It had hundreds of photos, so I start opening them. It was him tied up, him in a bath, and increasingly more risque. A coworker wanted to see how far it would go and opened more until he had a toe in his ass and then a picture of him jerking a dude off. I felt bad because we had just met his wife. My coworker reminded me someone had to be taking the pictures. This thread has 2 basic lessons to learn. 1. Use incognito or clear your history. 2. Put a password on or hide your 600 GB homework folder. Norton Antivirus. Yahoo set as default search engine. Only 512 millibars of RAM on the boss main laptop. I asked him to let me build him new computers. I did, all for free out of pity. I work on computers like I'm in a nudist colony, only making eye contact. I will not fill out that form or go to meetings because I saw something gross. I will not have to make eye contact with someone knowing what their kink is. 1. For roaming profiles, my coworker worked on his erotic novel on our shared computer. It was mediocre. 2. Mom told me she replies to spam mail asking them to take her off their mailing list.